Hello, Dental A Team listeners. We are back live today, it feels like, It's so weird, Dana, to still be like on video. It still weirds me out, but whatever. We don't do as many as Miss Cara Dent does. So we are here today to chat with you guys. We are so excited. I've got Dana here, and I have just like shocked her with reality today that I want to hear about one of her incredible offices that she's been working with. And before we dive in, I want you guys to just know that we love what we do. We love helping you guys. We love consulting. We love helping you guys when you're not actually clients yet. And we want you to know that we're always here for you guys. Reach out. Hello at thedentalateam.com. We're always here. Our social medias. Dana, she does this incredible video, live video. I think it's live. I don't even know anymore. On Mondays. It used to be Fridays. It used to be Donuts with Dana. Now it's Motivational Monday or something to that effect. But you guys, legitimately, Dana is there just like ready to answer questions. She takes ideas. So if there's things you guys are working on or things you guys are trying to work through, send them into us. Dana's always looking for more ideas on hot topics. We take them from things that we're talking to practices about and then what we're implementing so that you guys always have the best, most useful information. But we love suggestions, same as topics for these suckers. We're always looking for suggestions for these. And if you're not a part of our newsletter crew yet, you better go subscribe because we've got a ton of newsletters that come out as well. So all the ways that you guys can reach out to us. If you're clients, you guys, gosh, Dana, I don't even get suggestions from my clients on things they want to hear from us. And my clients, and I know yours do too, they listen to all of these suckers. So all of my clients out there, all of Dana's clients out there, thank you for listening. But hey guys, we're here for the suggestions. We're just always thinking of everything. Dana, do you ever get suggestions?
No. I get asked a lot. What are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, I was like, as I'm sitting here, like asking a whole slew of people for suggestions, I'm like, hey, I got a handful of people out there that aren't even suggesting, so I need to be more open about that. But today, I'm really excited to hear about this. Dana has been working her tail off with well, all of her practices. She works really, really hard. Dana, you are the grit to the fullest in so many ways and solution oriented. And for those of you who don't know, those are two of our 7 core values. And honestly, you embody all of them. But today is really about grit, solution oriented, passion for excellence, and results focused. These are some of the key pieces of what I think you did really, really well, Dana, with these results that this client has exceeded. And I'm just excited to hear about them. I threw Dana for a loop today, reminding her that today is her practice I wanted to hear about, and that I'm going to let her kind of take the floor for a lot of today. I have a lot of questions to ask and kind of chime in. But Dana, I really just am so excited to hear about them. But really, how are you doing, and how are your clients doing overall? Like, how are you doing in the world of consulting? We're about halfway through the year now, which is, well, a little over, I guess, which is wild to me. It's crazy that 2025 is almost gone. But how are you doing over there, and how are your clients doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. I feel like 2025 has been like a wild year, a little bit different for some practices, but I feel like they're all digging in. Everybody is willing to like do the things, work really hard, talk to their team, build in leadership. I'm super proud of my clients and their perseverance throughout this year and their ability to just kind of like pivot and push where is needed. And I think a lot of that is, getting clients to look a little bit more at their numbers, to look a little bit more at what they tell them, I think has really made a huge difference for a lot of practices this year. And so I'm just, yeah, always super proud of my clients. They're just really blessed to be able to be a part of their lives, a part of their practice and their journeys.
Yeah, I agree. I think coming off of December of 2024 was a wild ride for a lot of practices, November and December rolling into January. And I feel like it's just been this kind of like ebbs and flows, ups and downs, the whole, almost 7 months now for a lot of practices. But I know on our doctor only mastermind for our clients, our internal, clients, our non-shared one, last night there were just so many questions around that as well. And I remember somebody asked, like, is it normal to have had bad months, and is everybody experiencing last month bad months or last couple? And I remember a couple of the consultants were like, well, actually, like, I haven't really seen that the last couple of months. But when I sat back and I thought about it, I'm like, it has ebbed and flowed quite a bit for practices in general. But I think what we're starting to see is that I'll use the word again, the grit that a lot of our clients really persevered through January through March. They started reaping those benefits April to current. And so when the question was asked, it was a newer client of ours who had asked, like, is this, are you guys seeing this across the country? We really, most of us consultants were like, no, actually not really. We're seeing some of the highest months we've ever seen in our clients. But I think that had something to do with it, was really that they had the accountability of their systems and of their numbers. Like you said, we really dug in deep and forced our clients to really truly learn their numbers better than we ever have this year, and really always looking back at them and always applying the information to the next steps. And I think it made a massive difference within our client base, because I think overall we've seen a massive increase
Mhm.
from end of year last year to mid year so far this year.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I feel like even clients who maybe they escaped the like November, December, January, then they had like the February, March, right? And but I
Totally.
do feel like April, it's like everybody kind of really dug in and kind of climbed out of that little bit of that dip that we had there for the beginning of the year or the end of last year. And so, yeah, I'm just really, it was interesting to hear on the Doctor Mastermind, and just that like clients really did dig in and they've had so much grit, because there was a little bit of a rocky end of start of
Yeah.
2024-25.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Um, I love it. And I have so much fun on those meetings and hearing all the doctors. And, I think we had Mula on recently, and we get to have, just so many really cool things for them. So it was just awesome. That was something, though, that kind of reminded me of what you're going to talk about today with your client. And I wanted you guys to not just here, like we're not just here to brag. Like, of course, I want to brag on our clients and how great they're doing and what they're able to accomplish with the tools that they're given, but also to talk about the tools that they're given. So, Dana, like, really take us through. I want to hear how this practice is doing. What are their accomplishments? What are their increases in revenue and everything? And but then on the flip side of that, like, really, what did they dig in and implement really well this year that has gotten gotten them there, these changes? And actually it might not even be just this year. Like, you've been working with this specific client for a little bit now, so
Yeah.
tell me all the things. I want to hear about it. I'm
Yeah, this
excited.
client is really near and dear to my heart because they were one of my very first solo clients. And so it's just been fun over the years to really see them dig in, grit like no other. And I know on their end, it hasn't always been easy. We've had to have some tough conversations. We've had to look at some tough numbers. We've had to set some really tight budgets that maybe they didn't love, but they did it and have just been massively successful because of it. And so I am just really, really proud of them. They've brought in a ton of leadership, a lot of team accountability. And so, starting out as just kind of a baby practice, really with not a ton of systems. So first year we spent heavy building systems, really getting them to talk as a team, to work as a team, to be accountable to each other. So things like morning huddles and actually setting goals that they actually talked about and starting to look at numbers. And I remember, that first conversation of like, I can't really talk about numbers, right? That's just profit. They look at that
Yeah.
as like take home. And like now to the point of where like not necessarily obsessed over numbers, but a little bit, right? They're tracking tons of things and even department metrics. And the team is really involved in setting goals and setting quarterly focuses. And she's brought in an office manager and just grown even the leadership in the practice. We're talking about here soon building more of a leadership team. And so it's just really, really cool to see someone come in and evolve from systems to just like massive growth.
Yeah.
And a lot of change. And so, yeah, we focus on systems very heavily. Then we started to focus on leadership. Then we started to focus on growth. So we've got, went from a part-time associate to now a full-time associate to now like a buying of a space and like a build out. So
Hmm.
it's just been really, really fun to see that when we focus in on the things that are really important, that like the push and the magic that happens from it.
Yeah.
And so this has just been a practice that's just been so fun to be a part of. And we've had to do a lot of, because of the amount of growth that like they came in wanting, right? We always talk about vision with clients and like, where do you want to be 3 years and where do you want to be 5 years from now? So like hearing that, hey, I want to be an owner of a building. And I want to pretty much double the size of my practice in that time frame, and I also want to do a little bit less dentistry. That takes a lot of intentional movement, a lot of projections, a lot of, even, I know we've even talked about where you want to go, knowing when you have to hire people and when you have to bring people on and when is the right time to add an associate. And then on the flip side of that, like, how do we keep expenses in line so that we can make this dream happen? How do we keep expenses so that we've got the profit to be able to expand and to be able to purchase a property? And sometimes those conversations are uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Because like we want all the, this is a doctor who really appreciates team, whose love language a little bit is like giving and showing appreciation, and having to like hone that in and be like, hey, I want you to celebrate your team when they go above and beyond and they crush these milestones. We can't do that just for doing jobs though, because again, remember this vision, right? We want this building, we want this expanded team, we want to be able to like be a part of more people's lives in the community. So it's just been so fun. But I will say the biggest thing that like having to push on my end especially is just the intentionality, that like the things that we put into place are to truly get them to where they ultimately want to be. And I feel like sometimes that's why we're brought in, is because like they know what the vision is, they know where they want to be, but like they have no idea the path to get them there. And so this has just been like a uniquely fun client to be a part of.
That's awesome. So it's been about, I want to say like 2 years, little 2 years-ish, or is it three now?
It's 3 going on 4.
Oh my gosh, I'm a year behind you guys. It's fine. Time, time evades me. So 3 years. So when this specific client came on, I'm just gonna summarize a little bit. So it sounds like this client came on and they had 1.5 doctors, including themselves. They probably had what, 3 hygiene?
At the time, it was just her, single
Just
doctor.
her. Single
Just her,
doctor.
single doctor, 2 hygiene, 2 assistants, 1 front office. Yeah.
Perfect. So we have a very small team from the outside looking in, and a vision of owning their own building, and like literally the building. And what would you say their yearly production collections was? Probably
At the
right under a
time
million.
around, I'd say between 750, 800.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 750,
Yeah.
800. So you guys, if you can imagine owning a building on that, right? That's a stretch. That's going to
Yeah.
take a little bit of time. So then fast forward, now 3 years going on 4, we've got a full-time associate in place. And how many hygienists?
There's 4.
4 hygienists.
Mm-hmm.
Two dentists would mean at least probably 4 assistants, if not five. Four
Yep.
assistants. So 3, 4 front office, probably including an office manager. So we've more than doubled, right, or right at doubled our entire team, which means also, right, that we've doubled cost. So I think, Dana, what you did really, really well is that you were able to take from the beginning this client's initial goals. She said, this is my dream. And you said, great. How are we going to get there? So what you've been able to do with her is really take the financial aspect of this client, and say, okay, this is where we're at, but this is what we need. And so everyone listening, something that I really want you to understand is that when you have a goal in mind, right? I talk about vision boards a lot, and I talk about vision boards because I think that they're really cool. If you don't know what a vision board is, dang it, you're too young, go Google it. It's fine. If you're a millennial, you know what a vision board is, go get your magazines. But I always say, like, we do these vision boards and we're like, we're going to put an airplane on there and a picture of Mickey Mouse, and I'm going to take my kid to Disneyland. And we just put it on there and we put it on the wall, and eventually we forget about it and we stop doing it. And we get to the end of the year and we're like, shoot, I never got to Disneyland, right? But what we could do is say, I'm going to go to Disneyland. And then we say, okay, well, what is it going to entail to get to Disneyland, right? I live in Arizona. We're both in Arizona here. I can drive to Disneyland for sure. right? So what's the gas going to be? It's about 7 hours for me. It's probably far more for Dana. So we're probably going to fly. I'm not trying to make that drive, right? I can, but I'd rather fly. So what are the flights going to cost for how many people? What's a car when I get there? What's a hotel going to cost? What does Disney access cost? Because that's a feat in itself, right? And then how are we going to eat, right? We got souvenirs, we've got food in Disney, we've got dinners. Okay. So with that, I can price it all out. And it's so much easier, I think, for us to visualize doing this in our personal lives because it's like, well, duh, Tiff, why would you ever say like we're going to Disneyland on July 17th, but you have no idea how much it's going to cost? Believe me, I've done it before. You'll make it if you have credit cards. Dana can talk to you about how to get out of credit card debt. Um, but you can do it, but it would be crazy, right? It's dumb. So you're gonna project and you're gonna say, this is how much money I need to have in my travel fund in order to get my family to Disneyland. These are the dates I need to have it by because I can't buy tickets the day before, right? Flights. You can't even buy Disney tickets the day before anymore because you gotta block the date
Yeah.
out, right? So you've got to have all of this projected with a buy win date. So if you're trying to get to Disneyland, you're going to price point it all out. And then you're going to work backwards. And you're going to say, when do I have to have all of these things done? By what date do I have to have how much money? Right? Then you're going to set those mile markers. So with clients, this is the same thing that we do with your goals. And it's the same thing Dana did for this specific practice. This practice owner said, I want to own the building. I want to have this size of a practice. I know I've had, multiple clients say, I want to make this much money. I know I had a client who was in a same or a similar size situation when they first started, and the biggest goal was to make $1 million. So great. Well, we're at 550 now. Let's see. He's like, my 5-year goal is to make $1 million. Well, guess what? We did it in 3. Like because we projected it. And so what you've been able to do with this client is really project out. And I think the most fun piece, and I've done this with clients too, so I know. And tell me if you think there's a more fun. I always felt like the most fun part of it was being able to see what if we got to this level of financial growth. So if we got to this level of production and collections and this close to practice ownership, like building ownership, this is how many people you're going to need to support that dollar amount. So when you look at production, you say, okay, well, how much can one doctor support in production? How many team members does it take to support that doctor to support the production and then ramp it from there? So then it doesn't become such a pie in the sky dream of a number, it becomes a reality. And then you can say, okay, well, just like I said, Disneyland, it's a buy win date, right? So by this date, we need to have an associate hired because we need at least 90 days onboarding with an associate before they're really going to be producing anything, really. So if we need that associate to stay on track, we need that associate producing $90,000 by December. We've got to have someone in place by June at the latest, right? So we've got to start looking for an associate probably February to give ourselves a really good lead time. And Dana, I think that's something that you've done really well for all of your clients, but for specifically this one we're talking about today, I think you did really well at projecting out the team member aspect of it too and the hiring process so that that doctor could be prepared for the size that they were going to have and then applying that there to the financials. So you broke down for them, great. This is what the team cost will likely look like. This is your BAM, your bare ACE minimum is how we like to say it. And this is what has to happen in order for all of this to work. And then Dana, you said they had grit, they did it. And now one of the things that I picked out from your statement that I think everyone should walk away with is that you said you guys together, number one, together you got them looking at their numbers. That is the first step. Personally, professionally, the first step in making anything work when it comes to finances is actually looking at them. So congratulations and kudos on that. Second thing that I picked up was that together you guys created budgets and they stuck to them. They actually did them. And it doesn't mean they had to eat top ramen or get off brand flowable. It was like, these are your budgets and we're going to stick into it. And the best part about a budget, Dana, in my opinion, for dental practices is like, no, you don't have to buy the cheap flowable, but if your production and collections aren't supporting like what you're buying,
Yeah.
that's the issue. So most of the time your supplies should reflect, right? Your orders should
The kind
reflect
of
the supply
dentistry you're
need.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
tell me quickly just a little bit about that. Like and was there a spot where you were like, "Psh, no, you got to buy the ramen. Like, no, you got to get back on budget. You've got to stick to this." How did you
Yeah.
hold them accountable?
They did really well, I think. I will say, they have a fantastic office manager who was on board and wanting to know more about that side and wanting to know more about the budgeting side and the expense side. So I will say they did really great at setting their budgets every month, looking at it and sticking to it. I think the piece that maybe we struggled with a little bit that eventually they saw like, wow, it's super important to do that, is to just look at the expenses month over month. I think they were great about setting the budgets, great about sticking to them. It just took a little bit more time. And no, we've got to pull those P&Ls, we've got to pull those expense reports every single month, and we really have to look at it and getting them really to narrow down. I think the key, or like the green light that went on, was getting them to come up with, this is truly our fixed costs for every single month. And so when it got to the point where when you look at it and it's outside of that, we've got to dig in and we've got to figure out what's happening or where money is going, because it's outside of what the norm is. And
Yeah,
so digging in and getting that piece in place, I think really comfortable about talking about practice numbers. The
yeah,
other side of it was a little bit more uncomfortable, and that's okay. But I think they saw the importance of also connecting those dots and being able to share with the office manager and share with the team some of that, because that was a little bit more uncomfortable. And so just super proud that they were able to step outside of that comfort level, because so much of the time doctors want to hold those numbers close to their vest, and it's okay to hold part of those numbers close to you, or the pieces that you really don't or are super uncomfortable sharing. Again, if we want team buy-in, if we want our office manager to be able to help with these things and to really stick to budgets, they've got to understand those numbers too.
yeah. Yeah, that was beautiful. I would say for any doctors who are out there listening today, whether this exact story replicates what your goal is, or if you were able to see semblances of it in your own story, like take some of that away. And if you've got a goal, I don't care what it is, we apply the same standards to every goal. And personal and professional, like apply the same standards, make sure it's a SMART goal. And project it out. So I always look, and Dana, I think we all do, it's like we look at the end goal and then we literally just work backwards. So find your goal. If you're not comfortable with numbers, get comfortable with numbers. It's worth it. It's so worth it. If you need help getting comfortable with numbers, hello at thedentalteam.com. We are here for you. It's something we work really hard with a lot of our teams on. And I promise you, teams, even though they're not saying it, they're not like, hey, tell me our goals. They do better. They want to know the goals. They need to know the goals. They need to know what they're working towards and for, more than just an emotional space. The emotional space of we're here for patient care, fantastic. But how do I know black and white measurements that I have accomplished that? That is a very different feeling than just emotionally satisfying myself every day, because that usually is going to go the negative. You're going to find everything wrong you've done. So, soapbox off. So, go learn your numbers, you guys, if you haven't. I want you to listen to this again. Listen to everything Dana's saying. Dana, you did awesome. This practice, you guys, numbers wise, Dana, just to give them an idea, we said that they were, 750 or so when they started. They have doubled in size, including their doctor. Where are they projecting this year?
They should hit 2.4 this year.
2.4, you guys, that's massive. 2.4. So within the last 3 years, Dana has worked with this client. They have gone from just under a million to 2.4 by doubling in size. So yes, their employee costs went up. Yes, there's a cost for the owner doctor to have an associate. So there is a period of time where you will make less and you will be pouring into your team build. But on the other side of it, she has more than doubled or this client has more than doubled in not only size, but in income as well. So kudos, Dana. Kudos to your client. Kudos to all of Dana's clients and our clients. And I know you guys all work really, really hard. So go look at your numbers. And if you take nothing away from today, please take away from Dana the idea of really getting comfortable, at least talking to your office manager about this. If you don't have an office manager, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your consultant, someone that you can really truly get honest with about it. So Dana, congratulations. Thank you so much for taking today on and telling me about your client. You're an amazing consultant and we're so happy to continue having you here with Dental A Team.
Thanks, Tiff. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, everybody. Go listen again. Dana, you did incredible. Go take all her tidbits. Drop us a 5-star review. You'll be letting Dana know that she did awesome, but also I would love to hear what you guys took away from today as well. So drop us a 5-star review. We're excited to hear from you. hello@thedentalateam.com as always, and go catch Dana on Instagram on Mondays. And we'll catch you next time.